Okay, I'd like to call the regular May meeting of the Madison Fire District to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Adams.
Here.
Mr. Anderson.
Here.
Mr. Donaldson. Mr. Gontner.
Here.
Mr. Lee.
Here.
Mr. Wayman.
Here.
Would you all please rise and pledge allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Chief, do we have anybody that wishes to make a comment in the public hearing regarding the budget?
I've received no requests, no.
Madam Financial Director, have you heard of any requests?
No request.
Okay, so we will move on from the public hearing. Our regular session, you have the minutes of our previous meeting. What is the board's pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes of April 20th, 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Gontner. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Is there any corrections, additions, or questions regarding the minutes? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Adams.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Gontner.
Yes.
Mr. Lee.
Yes.
Mr. Wayman.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, thank you, Board. Moving on to bills and payroll. Madam Financial Officer?
All right, our April bills was $73,896.59. Our payroll was $151,514.65, for a total of $225,411.24.
Any questions regarding the bills and payroll? Do I have a motion to approve paying the bills and payroll?
Yeah, that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Wayman. Any other discussion, questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Gontner.
Yes.
Mr. Lee.
Yes,
Mr. Wayman.
Yes.
Mr. Adams.
Yes.
thank you, Board. Moving on to April 2022 financial report.
Okay, I'm reading off the fund summary report. We started April with $6,753,413.40. Our month-to-date revenue was $166,873.96. Our year-to-date revenue is $2,327,099.15. Again, our month-to-date expenditures was $225,411.24. Our year-to-date expenditures is $1,058,354 even. So we started May with $6,694,876.12.
Thank you. Any questions for the financial officer?
One other comment, so the board knows.
Yes, ma'am.
Is our bond interest came due, we just got the invoice today for the bond interest, and it's $27,041.92. And the reason I didn't need to do a transfer is because in our bond retirement, we had $34,000 in the balance and some odd stuff.
Okay.
That's
Any
it.
questions regarding this subject for the financial officer? Thank you. Moving on. Anyone wishes to address the board? No, we don't have a public portion. Madam Counsel, Legal Counsel.
Just as an update for the CAS 307 appeal, the record has been filed by the Board of Building Appeals. A briefing schedule has been outlined by the Lake County Common Pleas Court. I have talked to opposing counsel, and he's actually getting married and going on his honeymoon, so he's going to request a 30-day extension on those deadlines which I don't have a problem with unless the board does. So we're gonna get that filed, but things are proceeding forward with the appeal. I know that Captain Sacco has been meeting with representatives from the other side, trying to explore whether there's any resolution to this, so we remain
Right.
open to listening. But that's just an update for the board.
Okay, any questions of legal counsel regarding the issue?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Yes.
Stacy, so I know the fire district is named in the lawsuit, but because it was the Board of Building Standards that issued I guess, the order to, are they part of this lawsuit as well? I don't understand. I'm very confused about how this
Well,
is working out.
And that's what I said, it's such an oddity even for an administrative appeal, you know? But, so they kind of consider their part done, their aspect done, and they basically prepare the record and certify the record. And they've, you know, given that to the Lake County Court. And then from this point forward, it's really the appellant's burden to prove that the Board of Building Appeals didn't have credible evidence or reason as to uphold our citation. And so they will brief the issues that they have in them upholding the citation, and we will basically support our position. And then the court will make a decision as to whether or not the Board of Building Appeals had an error or didn't have enough evidence before it. So, yeah, I mean, I even spoke to the Attorney General's office, and they're not even gonna participate or make an appearance.
So the Board of Building Appeals is like the guy that walks in the bar, starts to fight, crawls out on his hands and leaves everybody else to do the fighting.
Yep, I've done that before.
Wow. Okay. Thank you,
So-
State of Ohio.
I will say, though, that the Attorney General's office, who's in charge of the administrative agencies, has, you know, been in touch with me. You know, I've reached out to them, and they have clarified that for me and what their action is in this. And so, I mean, I can't complain about their responsiveness when I've asked them questions, so.
Okay.
We'll just proceed forward and brief it and see where it goes.
And we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Right,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Anything else, Ms. Dane?
Nope, not at this time.
Okay. Moving on to old business. Chief?
The Station 2 projects moved along pretty well. We're at kind of a standstill with a couple things, and I wasn't down there in the last 2 days, but we still lack doors. And I don't know if Floyd recalls, but we ordered the doors back in January. I believe they've completed the HVAC and electrical inspection. If you walk through currently, I mean, the flooring's done, the walls are painted, most of the ceiling tile is on. When I talked to Gary the last time, we were talking about doors and some finishing projects. They finished up the bathrooms as far as mirrors and toilet paper holders and all. I did touch base with the board in the past. One of the things that I did ask Gary to do is to stop with the paving project. And that's a change order that I would present for the board to adopt with some of the things we've talked about with the electrical in the past, with the goal of trying to do that in one single application as opposed to piecemeal. I was hoping to have some prices for the board tonight. I contacted 3 additional vendors to get pricing. I've gotten pricing back from one so far, and there was some confusion apparently with what we wanted paved. And it would look even more ridiculous if we did that because we'd have a whole bunch of pieces. So I'm hoping to get some more prices so that at the next meeting we can move forward with paving that entire lot. To give you an idea, we're looking in the neighborhood of $50,000 to $60,000 to complete repaving basically the entirety of the fire department parking lot, north, south, east, west sides. Other than that, next Wednesday, Wednesday, the 25th, we have a meeting scheduled, I believe it was at 9 o'clock, Mr. Butler.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
We're gonna go through the punch list with CT and Metis and make sure that we start getting things finalized. I'm also trying to get them nailed down to a timeline. There is going to be one day that we're gonna need to displace the duty crew at Station 2. That will be the beginning of the renovations inside of the existing bathroom. So we're gonna work on some relocation for them for that 24-hour period while they're using jackhammers inside the building to tear up concrete. But as soon as I know more about that timeline, I'll let you know.
Anything else, Chief, regarding the Station
I think
2?
that's it for the station. I don't know if anybody's been down to look through. I think,
Yeah, I went by.
I believe that when we see the finished project, that, that's something that we can open the doors to the public, and you'll see that we really had cost in mind and that we didn't do anything extravagant. It provides these guys some pretty basic fundamental sleeping quarters and restrooms that they needed. There's nothing special about it.
I would say,
Miss-
Chief, they're rather Spartan, actually. Yeah, I mean,
What's that?
They're rather Spartan. There's nothing fancy about them, and
They're
just don't-
rather small.
well, and don't hire anybody over 6'8".
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions of the chief regarding Station 2?
I do,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I know we've done in the past, have one of our meetings like in August down there, but with all this construction going on, do we want to do it this year? Hold off to next year where we can show it, or? I don't know.
I think it comes down to the timeliness of when they, they still have that bathroom, which is gonna
Right.
take a little bit of time.
It'd be-
I'm not sure whether it's gonna be feasible this summer.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And that's why I was just mentioning, bring it up then. I figure next year, when it's all completed, we can do like we did in this
Sure.
one meeting and open it up to the public to come and see what they,
Yeah.
I understand.
At the
because
rate
of
we're
all-
going,
Yeah.
let's get it finished.
Right. And with all the dust and all that, I wouldn't want the people coming in and out of there and seeing all that, or us sitting there in the dust, so, okay, I just wanted to throw that out.
Very good. Any other questions regarding Station 2? Okay, Chief, new apparatus.
In the board folder, you'll see that there's a folder that's unique to this meeting that says new vehicles. And as we discussed previously, one of the things that I wanted to do is look at replacing some vehicles. So the board knows, I talked to you last month about our engine 2113, came back from the shop. They're estimating $20,000 to $25,000 are going to be needed eventually in engine repairs. Well, her sister is there right now. We bought them both at the same time. 2133 is not in as bad a shape as 2113 is. However, he is projecting similar requirements or repairs that are going to be needed. So we're looking at $50,000 or $60,000 potentially in the next few months to get these trucks updated. The suggestion of our maintenance organization was to continue using them right now because they're going to leak a little bit of oil, but they're going to continue to run well.
Oh.
Since that time, it was late last week on Friday evening, I was here on shift, I got a call from the guys at Station 2, and the ambulance at Station 2, the one that many of you were here when we bought the sister ambulances four years ago. Well, 2122 at Station 2, Friday evening, blew a spark plug out of the head. Not only did it blow a spark plug out of the head, but there's a piece of the spark plug missing that we have to assume is in the cylinder until further notice. 5 years ago, I wouldn't have been worried about it. Today, I'm a little concerned because I know several fire departments that have apparatus sitting at shops because they can't get parts. That squad's got about 104,000 miles on it. That's the one that I said, we're gonna need to begin to expedite making change. And while we had those plans, society changed. So what we got is the spec that we had from the squad that we purchased in October. We repurposed the same spec and asked for a quote from the same organization to get a squad started. Just so you know, as of this minute today, we still do not have a VIN number for the squad that we purchased in October, which means there's not been a chassis assigned. So once the chassis is assigned, you're probably talking about 4 or 5 months. The big part is getting a chassis. So they came back with a quote of $267,413. The other thing that's changed significantly in the last couple of years is the quotes are good for 30 days. They will honor no number beyond 30 days from the date that they will continue to rebid, which is kind of a pain in the butt for the sellers as well. But as we talked about before, I would like to figure out a way that perhaps the board looks at the spec, which was in the board folder, sees the price, and then approves us for a purchase of maybe not necessarily this particular something, but so that should something become available that meets our specification and meets the dollar amount, that we can make that purchase on the spot for the demo, as opposed to, even trying to wait 24, 48,
Yeah,
72 hours to have a board meeting.
Chief,
Yes.
are you talking about the online info?
Yeah.
Because we don't
Yeah,
have
it was
anything in our
not in the-
blue.
Yeah, I can print this.
Joanne went to make copies.
Joanne
Okay.
make copies for us.
Yeah, the reason I didn't print out the spec is the
The
spec
specs
for
are
the,
104 pages.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
I remember you
Yeah.
telling me,
Yeah.
okay.
it's a big thing. And this squad purchase, we're looking at least tentatively, we're looking at going through the Fund Superior Sales, which is who we bought the one in October through. So essentially, we're buying something sight unseen, but it's the spec that we built 6 months ago.
Right.
And again, they'll hold their quote for 30 days. We can get in line. The nice part about this current time is if we decided to do this and get in line and something became available, unlike in times previous, you'd be stuck with a squad. They'll sell that chassis and that squad tomorrow, and people will jump in line to take it. But I'm just looking to try to get an approval to make a purchase, whether it's with this or a demo that comes in at some point, so we have the ability to act quickly. We missed by 12 hours last time.
Okay.
And I'd be happy to answer any questions about the squad. It's a gasser, it's an E450 gas. It's bigger than the current ones. This kind of takes us back to the normal size squads that we had previously. We bought these 2 squads because we were in a pinch.
So Chief, are you talking about all the other accessories that go along with that squad, the striker power load system? and
Yes.
that kind of- Okay.
Yeah, and one of the reasons now, unfortunately, one of the reasons you're looking at the cost for the load system and the cot system, the problem anymore is, again, you're measured against safety standards, and, everybody has these power assist cots. The goal is to reduce injury. I'm not sure at some point whether or not we may be able to get BWC grant, because I know we're coming due for that BWC grant. But if we don't get in line to, once we're in line, we have the opportunity to jockey if we need to jockey, if that makes sense. The cot spec, the squad spec is, I believe, 24 pages. The engine spec is over 100.
Wow.
And there's a whole bunch of things that even I don't necessarily understand on the engine, because I wasn't part of speccing it. But we can ask Captain Sopkowitz on it. He can tell you what a 123875 gadget thing is.
What's the blackout package, Chief?
That's the black stripe that matches our current stripes, and it's also black rims, but it's making everything look like the ones that we have.
Oh, I see.
Instead of all the chrome can, so black, that's what I got.
Okay, gotcha.
We're trying to have a consistent,
No, you really should for identification purposes.
Okay, any other questions regarding the
ambulance.
ambulance? Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to point out, I was asked to prepare a resolution in case the board wants to consider that later on, and that would be 2210. I want to point out that with that, the additional specs, the amount would have to be amended from the 214 to
Right.
267. So
Okay.
I'd be happy to do that, but it just depends on what the board decides to do.
Are you saying we can amend it before we pass it, or you're gonna have to?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Would you like me to go over the fire engine?
no.
Okay,
Why don't we take these one at a time?
perfect.
So, what I see is we have Resolution 2210 for the ambulance. And this is the one that legal is stating that we're gonna have to amend the 214,413 to read 267,413.
Correct.
That's if we want to move ahead with Resolution 2210, which I feel we should.
Again, this just puts us in line, chief, basically, when it
I'm
comes
sorry?
It puts us in line when it comes available. It's not,
Yes.
right now, we couldn't buy it tomorrow if we wanted, correct?
No. And the other thing is, we may look at a couple of different vendors. What I'm really looking at is, there's the spec, there's the cost. If I can find something from a different vendor that we can get sooner, as long as it meets the specifications that we talked about and meets the pricing, you know, we're gonna probably move forward with fund. But if something else comes along, I want the ability to jump in and get in line and not have to wait 30 days for another board meeting.
Right.
So basically, I'm looking at those specs for that price.
But we're still
Not
looking
to-
at like a year and a half anyways for.
This, honestly,
Like what we
we're
were talking about before.
we're probably at least 18 months.
Yeah, so,
And
so that's
not
what we
to-
said, getting in line is, I think, the
Yeah, and we,
important
yeah.
thing to do here.
And two of our four squads right now are in bad.
Right, but not to supersede 267,000, but if it comes 18 months down, it could go up even more.
Well, like I said,
Then we would have to come back.
they'll hold this for 30 days, so if we do nothing with this today, I'll come back to you next month with a new quote that may be 267,413, or 413, or it may be 300.
Right, I just want to clarify that,
Yeah.
and that way, if we have to come back, we have to do it. We have 30 days, then we can come back. Okay, I have no problem.
Yeah,
That's all I have.
nothing is getting cheaper.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions for the chief on the ambulance and Resolution 2210, which we're going to have to amend?
So just in that first line, it's a E 450, correct?
Mhm.
It says 4.
Oh,
And rank working backwards.
Ms. Dame's secretary was,
Right, yep.
I like to catch her when I can. I don't get it
I
that often.
appreciate it.
I don't get it that often. so,
Yeah.
Yep.
So you just need a motion for that,
Well,
or what do we?
okay, we're going to need a motion to amend 2210.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Anderson. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. And so, it will be amended to say, not only the words 267, $413, but also the numeric change. Okay, any questions on that amendment? Okay, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll regarding the amendment?
Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Gontner?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes?
Mr. Wayman?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, if I can entertain a motion for Resolution 2210 as amended.
Yeah, that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Adams
I'll second.
and Mr. Anderson. Any questions on the resolution itself? And I guess, shouldn't I have had you read the resolution? Yes.
Do that. It's resolution number 22-10, a resolution authorizing the purchase of a 2024 Ford E450 gas engine Type 3 Victory Liner Lifeline ambulance or similar available model ambulance, meeting the terms of the attached proposal as well as satisfying the attached specifications of said model ambulance in an amount not to exceed $267,413.00 from an approved and authorized dealer as approved and specified through the Ohio Department of Administrative Services, DAS, Office of State Purchasing Cooperative, and authorizing payments provided pursuant to DAS pricing schedules and the Ohio STS contract.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Any question? Yes,
The other thing
Chief.
is, so everybody knows, payment is due on delivery, so there's no
Okay. If there are no further questions, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll on Resolution 2210?
Mr. Wayman.
Yes.
Mr. Lee.
Yes.
Mr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Adams.
Yes.
Thank you, Board. Moving on to Resolution 2211. Okay. I'll ask the legal officer to read that one, and then we can discuss it.
Okay, it's resolution number 22-11, a resolution authorizing the purchase of a 2023 Spartan Metro Star NXT 1,000-gallon pumper or similar available model pumper truck meeting the terms of the attached proposal, as well as satisfying the attached specification of said model pumper fire truck, and an amount not to exceed $682,405.00 from an approved and authorized dealer of Spartan Motors USA, Inc., as approved and specified through the Ohio Department of Administrative Services, DAS, Office of State Purchasing Cooperative, and authorizing payments provided pursuant to DAS pricing schedules and the Ohio STS contract.
Okay, Chief, why don't you give us your 10 cents on this
2
one
cents
now?
on that one. Well,
10 cents.
so again, instead of reinventing the wheel, since we had committees that worked on a fire engine not that long ago, we repurposed those specifications and went back to the same organization that we bought the last fire truck from, just to kind of give a perspective. And again, this quote is good for 30 days. In 2019, we bought this very exact truck for $497,810. 36 months later, $682,405. This basically would be a sister to what we purchased a year ago. The officers had conversations about this and the SWAT and felt using the same specifications were reasonable. There is some prepayment savings on, if we indeed go with this Spartan vehicle, this specific spec with Mr. Johnson from Johnson EBS, they do have some savings, and I'm trying to find it on here again. I think it was like $15,000 for prepayment. I think that's something that we can have conversations about at another point, but the delivery date on this, I think the last I heard, kept up, it was like 440 some days. But they're having a similar type of problem with chassis and chips and pieces and parts. So again, this is a matter of trying to get ourselves in line, and go from there. We will probably throw out to see if anybody's got anything that meets these specifications and some various prices. But again, this gives us time, this gives us the opportunity to take a quick action to get in line. And I'd be happy to answer any questions about the 104 pages of specifications. Or actually, I would actually steer those to Captain Sopko. But this is the exact truck that we bought 3 years ago.
And to the best of your knowledge, there's no amending that we have to do of this resolution?
No, sir.
Okay. Any other questions for the chief? Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve 2211.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Wayman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Any last questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Lee.
Yes.
Mr. Wayman.
Yes.
Mr. Adams.
Yes.
Thank you, Board. Moving on to 22-12. Madam Legal Beagle?
Resolution number 22-12 is a resolution authorizing additional compensation to James Salamosi, Fire Inspector, increasing his hourly rate to $22.50 and authorizing payments provided herein.
Thank you. Is there, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Buckner,
Yes.
Mr. Lee,
Yes.
Mr. Wayman,
Yes.
Mr. Adams.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Thank you, Board.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes?
I would just remind you to go back and do Resolution 2209, which is the one that
Yeah,
approves
approve
the
the
tax
budget.
budget.
Thank you, ma'am. I was thinking, we could probably maybe save some money. Okay, Madam Legal Attorney, please read,
I will defer to the fiscal officer,
Ah.
since this is her resolution.
okay?
Okay, this is resolution 22-09, is a resolution approving and adopting the tax budget of the Madison Fire District for the fiscal year commencing January 1st, 2023, and submitting same to the county auditor.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
Yeah,
or
that
accept?
motion.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. A second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Gautner. Any discussion or questions of the fiscal officer?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just so I have, for the record, what is the proposed tax budget for 2023? So we have that as part of the public record.
For our revenue collection, I have $3,873,200 in general fund, and our expenditures right now in general fund is estimating
$3,725,000 is estimated expenditure.
Anything else? Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Lee,
Yes.
Mr. Wayman,
Yes.
Mr. Adams.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Buckner.
Yes.
Thank you, Board. Let's see. Okay, we're done with that and that. Moving on to the Chief's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Anniversaries for the month, firefighter Scott Wells, 29 years. Captain Meister, 21. Firefighter Bill Weemus, 16. Firefighter Jeremy Newer, 10. And our one and only Miss Lori Hoja, a year.
Wow. Congratulations. I thought it was just yesterday.
Yeah,
Went quick.
Yeah, it did.
yeah, wow. Another
Time
pepper on
goes
the
by
sun.
quick when you're having,
Yeah. Just kind of an overview, financial, I know Joanne covered the financial. We're at 54% of our projection for tax revenue. At this point, the other thing is our EMS revenues is coming in higher than we projected. We've been averaging basically 10% of our budget monthly rather than the 8.3%. So that's a nice trend. Our volume's been up, our revenue's a little higher than what we projected, so that's good. Salaries, not a whole lot to report. The overtime has been down. We've had some overtime for some classes, and I'll explain that here in a bit. Call volume, 286 calls last month. We're right now 13% higher than we were last year. And last year, we finished the year about 13% higher than the year before. So our volume is still consistently high. I have reached out to university hospitals and continue to inquire about the emergency department, because the only real correlation and causation that we can figure for our increased volume may be the absence of that ER. They continue to claim that there are staffing issues, there's a shortage of nursing. I even brought up the fact that they're putting on a big addition at Ahuja and Beechwood, and that's gonna take staff. But they assured us there was supposed to be a meeting this week, and they assured us that they would keep us updated. I did express some concerns about an urgent care, and if they did go that direction, the need for assistance in transporting people from. So if they go that route, we'll have to have that conversation at another time. Fire inspections are ongoing. Again, our preventative maintenance is just showing that some of our equipment's getting old. I think one of the difficult parts right now with Squad 2122, again, we bought it 4 years ago, it's got over 100,000 miles. You know, when our volume increases by 13 to 15% each year, and then you eliminate things like a local emergency department, which adds miles, it's just, you know, more wear and tear on equipment. So I think moving forward with the purchases, I would like to say puts us in a good place, but you know, I think I've talked to a couple of you, I think these are some unprecedented, you know, first COVID, and now you can't, you know, I talked to Miss Dame and they can't get golf balls. Gas is $4.50 a gallon and you can't get chips to fix things, so. I hope that we made the right decision to try to get in line, because I don't know how much longer we're gonna be able to beat on vehicles without starting to think about replacements. The buildings, we talked about Station 2 already. The officers had wanted us to move forward with the squad and engine. We did complete something that Central just did. I'm not sure if the board's aware. They did something called an autofill. Central is finally utilizing the computer-aided dispatch system the way it's supposed to be. And those fire departments that are under Central are now in what they call an autofill. So what happens is if Madison is busy, Central will automatically dispatch the next closest resource to us, rather than dispatching us and having the officer have to make decisions while he's on a call doing something. I did get a commitment from Sergeant Chafee, because the next step that I'm trying to push is, you guys have heard the station alerting go off. The county spent $500,000 on this system, and it's actually not station alerting, it's department alerting. If Station 2 has a call, Station 3 hears it. If Station 3 has a call, Station 2 hears it. So the next thing that I'm trying to push Central to do, now that we've complied with what they want, is to actually have station alerting. I recognize that sleep and sleep deprivation are tied to heart attacks and cancer and mental health. So now that they know who's supposed to go, there's no reason for them to wake everybody up. So hopefully in the next month or so, we're gonna move forward with a true station alerting, so the station that needs to go goes, and the other station doesn't have interrupted sleep. Along the same lines, Ohio has an ARPA grant that came available. I don't know if y'all remember, but several months ago, I told you Ohio was gonna have $70 million that was gonna be available in grant money for first responders. And the goal of the grant is recruitment, retention, and wellness. And I've already started working on the grant, and two of the areas that I'm looking at writing the grant for is station alerting, like to augment our station alerting so that we have a safe, efficient, practical way of getting our notifications in the middle of the night, as opposed to just somebody screaming in your ear. The other thing we're looking at is, from a wellness standpoint, is to try to get a gym built at Station 2 to promote some of that physical wellness. Sleep and physical exercise all promote healthy hearts and healthy mental health, so we're gonna try to work on some of those. I read through the grant, and one of the things that I've heard some people putting in for is staffing. My concern is, it's kind of like a SAFER grant. If we don't have funding and plans to retain people, we're writing a grant for somebody to have a job for a year. So the reason I looked at station alerting and wellness is because those are kind of permanent things that impact the people that are here, and it's not a promise to somebody to have a job for 2 years. So we're working on that right now. We also have 6 of our newest hires that are going through a program called Blue Card. Blue Card is an incident command class that teaches the younger folks kind of how to size up a scene, how to manage a scene. And I took it after I'd been here 25 years, and it was horrible. But I think for some of our new folks that have 2 or 3 years experience, you know, we're not burning houses down every week. So this is computer scenarios that give them the opportunity to learn how to command and control. Tomorrow's their last day of class. From a budget standpoint, there's really, I haven't really noticed any red flags, even though we paid some overtime. When you look at our total dollars in salary, we're okay. You know, the tax collection fees, I'm not sure if there's a formula we use so that we can figure that out in an annual budget. But other than that, everything's okay. We are gonna run into a snag with fuel. You know, we're probably gonna, at the end of the year, Joanne and I will have to sit down and we'll have to reappropriate something, because
Well, yeah, volume's up, and so
Volume's
is.
up and cost
Yeah.
is doubled, so. Other than that, I think for the most part, the guys and gals are doing a great job. I think Lieutenant Bullhammer, we talked about the FEMA and SAFER grant. We have a radio grant that he worked on that's still out there. So hopefully that comes back. That was a regional radio grant. We have this ARPA grant. We're trying to look at alternative methods for some funding. And I'd be happy to answer any questions the board might have.
Board, Max?
On the mule we bought,
Yes, sir.
how much have we used it, or,
Well,
just curious?
It got its first scratch.
Oh, down on the river there?
Hogback,
Okay, yeah. But I'm just curious.
south. Yeah, Hogback south, or no, it was Hidden Valley. I'm sorry, it was Hidden Valley. The mule is the exact dimension of the bridge way back on that trail. And when I say exact, the mule is a half an inch, maybe a quarter inch wider than the bridge.
Wow.
But,
So she's got her first scuffs. But we just started doing some training, and believe it or not, we haven't had any grass fires. We did use it. There was a young man that had to be removed from Hidden Valley.
that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, so worked great there, except, like I said, nobody thought about measuring that bridge and measuring the dimensions of the Polaris.
And we're keeping up with on our maintenance for all vehicles and stuff?
All of it, yep, we're going through the preventive maintenance right now. Both frontline squads are done, all the engines are done, or two of the frontline engines are done, and they're basically trying to get one in every week or every 2 weeks to just get all the PM stuff done, yeah. And the jet ski,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
Lieutenant Henry just changed the oil and got that stuff all ready to roll. I haven't been down to see if the township cleaned that yet, or no, do you know, boat ramp? Haven't been down there to see it.
I don't
they were
think they,
supposed
No.
I don't know if they've got to it yet.
Not
They've been
yet.
pretty
They've
busy.
been busy
There's a
with
lot
other-
of logs on
Oh,
it
yeah.
last time I looked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, all the equipment's ready to go. The gentleman with the drone, they started doing some training with the drone. Jesse Sopko and Mike Brush, and I'm not sure who else went with them, but they had a drone drill. And actually, a great idea, they went down to the lake, and they found various points in the lake, and basically they're beginning to start a plot map. So if we get a call somewhere,
Yeah.
we have areas to pilot from, and we know the line of sight that we can use so that we can, and I think they're gonna slowly start working back through the community, so I know if you give me an address, I can look on my map and see where that address is and see where my line of vision is gonna be so that I can use that drone.
That's all I have, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
Any other questions for the chief?
Just one. How are we on the full-time staff? Were we all hired, all the ones that we had to hire, or now, or where are we at with that?
They're all on for now.
Okay.
And part-time?
Part-time, I did just accept the resignation of Alexis Hungerford. She was one of our new hires. She has been employed by Northwest Ambulance District and South Central Ambulance District. So we are down to, I believe, 8 or 9 part-timers.
cow.
Oh, man.
I knew that was coming.
Lieutenant Fallhammer, just today mentioned doing exit interviews, and he came up with some draft questions. I think that's one of the things that we're gonna try to start making sure we do with everybody is an exit interview. I will say, it seems like, for the most part, the people that have left so far, we've got people that got full-time jobs other places and stuck around for a little bit, and then just,
Yep. Yep.
I guess it's good that our folks are getting employed elsewhere, because that means we're training them well, but it's bad for us because we're training them well and we lose them.
Right.
But that's what a AAA team does.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you, chief.
Yes, sir.
Since no one's here, no one's there, I take it there's no closing public portion comments? How about board comments?
I have none, sir.
Nothing.
Okay. We still have no need for an executive session.
No.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I
Yes.
thought we did. Did we not? We're not tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry, you weren't here when we had our little
Okay.
discussion.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
no, I had checked with
Okay,
everyone.
okay, I'm sorry.
No.
I apologize.
Not a problem. Okay, Max is moving to adjourn, a second.
A second, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Wayman.
Yes.
Mr. Adams.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Zotner.
Yes.
Mr. Lee.
Yes, at at 7:46.
I'm sorry, I missed that part of the conversation.